Good evening, everyone. I'm Gene Bailey. You're watching FlashPoint. Lots to talk about tonight in our world. As you know, things just keep happening. I want to take this opportunity before we get into tonight's topics to make sure that you've signed up for the FlashPoint Army email. It's very simple. Go to fparmy.com/FP sign up. Now, some of you, this is an issue with some of your email accounts. If you make sure you check your spam account, your junk drawer, all those places where a weird email can show up, make sure you whitelist our emails. Make sure you're getting it. Now, if you're on an older type email account, it's possible you won't be receiving. You may have to sign up with a different email. But there are some people that are having those issues, but we want to make sure you're all getting it. So go in there and sign up, fparmy.com/FP sign up. They are going out on a regular basis, so you should be getting them. If you're not, it's probably the enemy. All right, let's go ahead and talk. All right, let me introduce the panel tonight. Pastor Hank Kuhneman, live from Omaha, Nebraska, from somewhere in Texas, our good friend Lance Wallnow, and somewhere in Wyoming, no, I'm kidding, Colorado, our good friend Mark Meckler. Mark, you gotta tell everybody where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm in a little place called Lake George, Colorado, Tarryall River Ranch, and I bring my staff up here once a year to just hang out, have a good time, ride horses, fly fish, and plan how we're going to take over the world in the coming year. So that's what I'm doing up here.
Well, we should be there. I mean, taking over the world, that's what they accuse us of. We should be there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to be our partners in doing that in the coming year.
Okay. Yes, we are. In Jesus' name, amen. There you go, Right Wing Watch. There's a quote for you. All right, so let me, a lot has happened since we were on the air last night. By the way, if you did not watch last night's program, you need to go back and go to the YouTube channel, because there is interesting relaying of the events that happened, the attack that happened from our friend Ed Rush, as he went back and laid it out, how it worked. Went very slow, methodically. A lot of you have really enjoyed that. We pulled that clip specifically for YouTube. So go to fparmy.com/YouTube and you'll see something about a Top Gun pilot retells the story. So you're going to want to watch that. It's good for you to understand how it all happened, and something for you to share with your friends to help understand how that attack, how that bombing run happened from the voice and the mind of a fighter pilot, which is kind of scary when you think about Ed Rush being a fighter pilot with that much weaponry, the man who failed kindergarten. But anyway, that's another story. We'll continue. Let's talk about what is happening today with the crisis in the Middle East. Watch.
Israel and Iran agreed to President Trump's ceasefire announcement, but within hours, Iran fired 2 missiles toward northern Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the IDF to strike Tehran. President Trump urged Israel to call off the response and said he's unhappy with both sides.
So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning, because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that.
Just before the ceasefire began, a deadly Iranian missile slammed into the southern Israeli town of Beersheba. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl visited the scene.
The 7-story building behind me got a direct hit from an Iranian missile just about the time the ceasefire was supposed to take effect. One bystander commented that this is what an Iranian ceasefire looks like, killing Jews to the last minute.
President Trump posted the ceasefire announcement on Monday night. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. He followed that with another post that said, Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said, peace. I knew the time was now. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. This just hours after Iran launched a barrage of missiles at a U.S. military base in Qatar. 13 of the 14 missiles were intercepted, and the attack did little damage. Iran notified Qatar of the attack beforehand, giving the U.S. time to prepare. After Trump's announcement, the Israeli government released a statement and said it achieved the main goals of its military operations against Iran. Israel has removed a dual immediate existential threat, both in the nuclear field and in the field of ballistic missiles. In addition, the IDF achieved complete air control over the skies of Tehran, inflicted severe damage on the military leadership, and destroyed dozens of central Iranian government targets. In the past 2 days, the IDF also hit Evin Prison, the headquarters of the Bajiz, and the Israel destruction clock inside Tehran.
These are not sites that have strategic significance, but they have immense political significance. They are the pillars, if you will, of this horrendous regime. And by bombing them, Israel has weakened that regime. And so ultimately, the greatest guarantee we have for a non-nuclear, non-dangerous, non-threatening Iran is by the removal of the regime.
Also on Monday, Reza Pahlavi, the son of the late Shah of Iran, presented himself as a figure who can unify the country if the Iranian government collapses. He said the regime is on its last legs.
The Islamic Republic is collapsing. Credible reports indicate that Ali Khamenei's family and the family of senior regime officials are making preparations to flee Iran.
It remains to be seen if this ceasefire will provide a lifeline to the Ayatollah, or if the 12-day war has so weakened the regime that the people of Iran could rise up to overthrow the government.
All right, Lance, what do you think? We see this. Do you think Iran is done for, or are they just regrouping?
Well, you know, Gene, like you said in the opening, things just keep happening. like it's a mystery out there. Yeah, so what's going to happen is you're going to see the weakened Iranian regime. They did a weird thing. They had a victory.
There's Lance and his internet. We'll join with Lance in just a moment. Let me go to you, Mark Meckler. What do you think when you see what happened here? Is this a good thing for, or is Iran just going to regroup?
You know, it's hard to say. It's really at this point up to the Iranian people, which I think it should be. The American people, while they supported the strikes on Iran to keep them from having nuclear weapons, were largely against a regime change. We have a bad history of regime change turning out poorly. It really should be left up to the people of the country. I hope that the people step up for their own freedom. But right now, what Israel's done is definitively defenestrated the regime, removed their nuclear weapons, removed most of their ballistic missiles. And important to remember, remove their ability to produce all of that stuff, which makes the entire world a much safer place. And I would add one last thing, which is unbelievable kudos to President Trump for doing exactly what he said he was going to do. He's been making this promise for a very long time. He kept the promise, and the world is safer today because of it.
Yeah, and you know, Pastor Hank, let's stop right here and talk about the fact that most of the younger generation does not have a clue, has not seen the pictures of Nagasaki and what happened when a bomb was dropped, how devastating that was to the world, and Truman, who had to make that decision. In seeing all of that happen, what's your opinion here as we see all of this happening with Iran? The same question. Are we going to see this go away, or is it going to continue?
Well, the good thing is we're not seeing the devastation to innocent human lives at that mass scale of what you just described. But what we are seeing, unfortunately, there are those that have caught in the crossfire on both sides. But here's what we have to really, I think, we talk ceasefire, but what we really need to do is talk to the Iranian government. Are they willing to cease this rhetoric that keeps coming? Death to America, death to Israel. Are they going to accept Israel as a state? Are they going to stop trying to remove them and be a terroristic country? I think those are the real questions that we have to ask. The other thing that I think we have to look at is where are we heading? I think there's a lot of fear right now. And we have to go back to what the Lord has said by documented, verified prophetic words that foretold this all the way back. We shared that at our church here, what the Lord's been saying since 2008 and 11 and 18, 19, and even to current. And one of the things that God said recently, and I want people to be encouraged, May 18th and also June 8th, that God said that Iran will comply. They will be humbled, and their nuclear capacity would not happen, and they would be brought to a table, and there would be diplomacy. So that's what we need to keep praying. That's where we're heading. But there's still some things that have to, happen in the meantime, and it's going to require us to continue to pray for the Lord's intervention.
Without doubt. You know, there's Greg Stevens today from Victory News called me to give me some scripture that I might want to share tonight, and I want to submit this to you guys. Elam is ancient Persia in Scripture. It's mentioned in Acts 2, Daniel 8, Isaiah 21 and 22, and then in Jeremiah 49, 38 and 39 says this, "Then I shall set my throne in Elam, and I shall destroy out of its king and its princes. But it will come about in the last days that I shall restore the fortunes of Elam, declares the Lord." Could be a possible regime change. Pastor Hank, do you see it that way? It's possible.
Well, yeah, because again, I go back to what the Lord had prophesied. Gene, there is a verified, documented prophecy from 2011. We shared this on our Prophetic Pulse last Wednesday that people can go out and they can look at on OVTV. That's our network, and pull up the Prophetic Pulse. God listed it. He said, look, I'm going to take out Libya, the leader. This was 2011. He said they're going to drag him through the streets. Gene, that happened 6 months later. That prophecy was fulfilled. Then God says, look to Syria. Their leader shall flee. 13 years later, that prophecy is fulfilled after 40 years of a regime, in Syria. And then God says, I'm going to raise up one out of New York. That the right and the left are going to go, who is this man that is going to deal with Iran and is also going to reset our economy? Well, that was speaking of Donald Trump. And God said there would be a regime change that would come. Here's the thing. Iranian people are beautiful people, Gene, and they deserve what everybody deserves, and that is freedom and liberty. And God is going to give it to them. They've prayed. We've prayed, and God has answered. Watch how things begin to play out, where even the women are going to take off their veils, and they're going to be given positions of power that's going to shock the world. And it's all signs that the Spirit of the Lord is the one that's bringing this liberty as he's pouring his Spirit out upon the earth, resetting it.
Yeah, so true, so true. Well, it's going to be interesting to watch. That's for sure. We know whose side we're on, and we know how it turns out. So take encouragement in that. Okay, so Mark, I'll let you have this since we still have Lost Lance's feed. President Trump, Joel Rosenberg posted this. He said he was stunned and disappointed by President Trump today, saying Israel has been fighting. You've seen this. Just watch.
They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing. Do you understand that?
Okay, Mark Meckler, I think he said something right there where it was blurred out and the audio dropped. Yes, I know, we cut that out. Mark, this shows, when I saw this clip, of course, they have since rectified the situation and all that. But this is a man, this isn't our pastor or our priest. This is a man who's trying to negotiate world peace here, and he was frustrated, and I think rightly so if you don't know the whole story. I mean, it seemed like exact opposite of what he had just told the world.
Yeah, and I also think, Gene, and that this is important for us to remember, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we have no idea what it is. Right. Sometimes Trump says stuff for public consumption, and behind the scenes he's saying something entirely different. We don't know whether he told the Israelis, go ahead, take your one last shot, but I'm going to express my frustration in public. This kind of stuff is done in diplomatic circles all the time, where there's a public message and a private message. So I don't worry about that kind of stuff. I know the relationship between Israel and the United States is incredibly solid. Trump has stood by them the entire time through this whole thing, even when people thought he wasn't.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, just the other night we had retired Brigadier General John Teichert on. Fox asked him about this. Will the ceasefire hold? Take a listen.
We're going to dive into this with retired Brigadier General John Teichert. He's a former fighter pilot and Pentagon official. General, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Do you think this ceasefire holds, and do both sides have an incentive for it to hold?
Bill, clearly there was righteous anger by the president walking out to Marine Corps One as he left about any possible violations of the ceasefire. I think he sees, like we all should see, that in the last 2 weeks, Israel has set back Iran in multiple ways, and it is in their best interest and American best interest to allow this ceasefire to hold. And especially when you consider the Iranian incentives here, that with Israel having air superiority or the ability to strike any target at any time, that they do not have any reason for this war to continue. And so all incentives would suggest that Iran will not violate this ceasefire. Israel, with a strong admonition from the president, must not as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Is it really seems like Iran would want to be looking for an off-ramp here. Case in point, when they attacked our base in Qatar yesterday, they apparently gave the U.S. a heads up beforehand. What does it say to you when your enemy tells you, hey, we're going to attack you and here's where it's going to happen?
Bill, yesterday at Al Udeid was clearly an off-ramp for the Iranians, that they did give us that intelligence heads up ahead of time, that planes and assets had already been dispersed and were heavily defended. And frankly, they attacked the most defended location in the middle of the Arabian Gulf, which tells me they were doing something to save face and very quickly accepted that off-ramp to the ceasefire last night.
Yeah, they probably knew all those missiles were going to be intercepted or shot down.
All right, let's talk about Al Udeid. Lance, let me bring you back in here. I see they got your feed fixed to some degree.
Yeah.
Now, this most likely was I don't want to say fluff, because, I mean, there were real missiles being fired in the air, but they gave them a heads up. Hey, we're shooting missiles at your most highly protected base in this region.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. So, you know, they needed to save face maybe with their own people. What do you think, Lance? Let me get your take on that whole thing, the whole exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Middle East. You know, when Jesus said, you have heard it's been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, they still say that there. It's a living proverb, an eye for an eye.
Right.
And when they say an eye for an eye, what they mean is we have to hit you back to have parity. So in other words, it's not like I'm hitting you and you need to, one of us needs to have parity. Iran has lost the battle. And now they're trying to win the PR contest. That's the situation. Yeah. Like my internet right now is like a PR battle. Yeah. So sorry about that.
Yeah. All right, Mark, I want to get you to weigh in. Same question. Al Udeid.
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit worried about it, and I'm not as sanguine. I understand that they had to hit back. I think it's a problem to let them save face. I mean, I personally would have preferred that they either have to be driven out, and I don't mean because I want regime change. I want the Iranian people to do that. But I think it's bad when you allow a regime like this. What they're going to say is they stood up against the world's greatest power, against the United States of America. We had everything that we could possibly throw at them. We threw it at them. And they are saying, look, our nuclear facilities survived. We're still able to shoot. They claim that they destroyed Al Udeid. That was for the populations of the Middle East. That wasn't said for the rest of the world. And I don't like the fact that we end up with a still defiant Iran. I think we need to bring the Iranians to their knees, personally.
Well, and I think that's been the concern that I've had all along is, did we go far enough? We talked about this last night. Are we pulling back too soon? In what you said earlier, we don't know everything that is going on at the presidential level, obviously, nor should we. But there is a concern. What are we seeing? What should we be seeing with all that happening? All right, let's go to CNN because they're so much fun. Latinos with Trump post, according to a CNN poll, 83% of Republicans, 79% of Democrats are against Iran having nuclear weapons. Watch.
I feel like there's more support for Donald Trump's positions than is comically acknowledged. Oppose Iran getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at this. 79% of adults agree on that. They agree with Donald Trump. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. 83% of Republicans, 79% of independents, 79% of Democrats. When you get 79% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans agreeing on anything, you know that that position is the very clear majority in this country. And so the American public is with Donald Trump. They definitely oppose Iran getting nuclear weapons.
Okay, Lance, it seems kind of obvious. Everybody says we're opposed, except some on the liberal camp. We're opposed for them having nuclear weapons. Why is this so difficult?
It's not difficult, Gene. You know what's difficult is for Americans to trust the intelligence community. I don't know if you run into this feedback, but like I'm sold like you are. Hey, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon, period. Right. But then I got a lot of these younger millennials around me going, yeah, but you know, we're not sure if they're not lying to us about that. And if the intelligence community is actually, they're going to get us in a war. There's paranoia about a war starting. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I don't know how you do that. You're a great ventriloquist, although your picture's a little fuzzy. Pastor Hank, what do you think? I'll get you to weigh in here.
Well, Lance has a point. And one of the things that I think, to answer your question, Jen, I'm actually going to do it for the first time in, 4.5 years. I think if the factor or the problem is President Donald Trump connection. If he wasn't part of the connection, I think people would be on board. But they've got to find something to complain about. They've got to find something to make it look like it's all Donald Trump's fault, rather than looking at something that is happening, and that is a hostile environment. Countries that have been at each other, somehow they're sitting this out for a moment and entertaining the idea of real change. So we got to continue to pray, as to whether that's going to be carried out. I do think this, Gene, if I could just say this regarding, will this ceasefire? This is my opinion. I have to say that because people think that you're speaking, prophetically. I think as long as Jesus said, you'll know them by their fruits, the fruit of the Iranian regime that's currently there has been very hostile. Second, Jesus said, first bind the strong man. And I think they're going to have to really sit down with the leader of the Iranian government and say, look, we're not playing. We're not messing around. That's Donald Trump. And you're going to have to comply. And I believe that they will. That is what my hope is.
Mark, let me show you this, because Americans have short memories when it comes to the presidents before them. Let's look at Barack Obama. These are the times Barack Obama dropped bombs but didn't declare war. Libya, 2011. Pakistan, 2009 to 16. Yemen, 09 to 16. Somalia, 09 to 16. Iraq and Syria, 14 to 16. This is not bizarre behavior. There was all of this outcry about, well, he had to have the Congress to say, he didn't have to have Congress to say so to be able to do this. Yet they don't, the liberal side here seems to forget what has happened in the past with their own people in office. Is this something we're just going to have to put up with for the next few years until the next election?
And a lot longer than that, Gene, because I don't believe they're forgetting. They absolutely know. In fact, Barack Obama, during his 2 terms, dropped over 26,000 bombs overseas. President Trump has done nothing near that, and clearly this wasn't anything like that. President Obama did all of that without congressional authorization. I don't necessarily like the way that works, by the way. I would rather see people moving under the War Powers Act, but we have a long history of presidents doing this. Barack Obama was among the most extreme, including, by the way, drone attacks on American citizens overseas and killing them. So incredibly hypocritical that the left is criticizing Trump for that. But today, everything is political for the left. There's nothing that's not political.
And without a doubt. Speaking of that, Pastor Hank, he says there's nothing that's not political. But what about the church? We've got politics in the church that people don't seem to even agree on that.
Well, I think one of the biggest problems that we're seeing is, and it's not just the podcasters out there or politicians that haven't been on the same team of what President Trump and the administration is doing. You have, replacement theology. You have those that are trying to go after Israel, act like Israel really doesn't matter. And people in the church have bought into that, and they don't understand that 1 Corinthians 10:32 says there's three people groups. One is the Jews, second is the Gentile nations, and third is the church. And it never in that list eliminated the Jews. They were listed first. So they are a priority to God, and they're a priority in the earth. Much of our history, our Messiah came from Israel. We have to pay attention to these things. And then the other thing we have to do, Gene, and I was praying for Israel today, and the Lord showed me something very quickly. In Genesis 15, remember when the covenant was being cut between God and Abraham, where it all began? The fowls of the air came and tried to take away the covenant. You could say, remove them, replace it. It was already, the battle was on. Jesus later in Mark 4 says, hey, by the way, the fowls is the devil. And so you could see from the start that Satan did not like this covenant that God was making with Abraham and what it would lead to. And Abraham had to do something. He had to defend it. He had to chase them away, the Bible says. And look at what Israel's been doing. They've been having to chase away hostile countries and enemies since their existence. So I think something is going to shift. I really believe that. We are seeing Exodus 14:14. The Lord is fighting for the people of the earth, especially those who want freedom.
Amen. And we all want freedom, that's for sure. All right, so I'm going to skip over. If you go back to X, you can see President Trump calling AOC stupid AOC and all of that. It's just the same news we've lived through the last 4, 5, 6, 8 years, coming after President Trump, threatening impeachment. That won't go anywhere. Let's go to what's happening. ICE arrested some Iranian nationals across the United States. We've been so busy talking about what's happening in the Middle East. Look at what CBS reported, what has happened in your United States of America. Watch.
The Department of Homeland Security says Yusuf Meridano had been living in the United States illegally for nearly 8 years since U.S. officials determined he lied on a visa application on Sunday, just 4 months after the Iranian foreign national was added to the U.S.'s known or suspected terrorist list. He was arrested in central Mississippi. He's now in ICE custody pending removal proceedings, and he's not alone. Over the past 48 hours, ICE officials have arrested 11 Iranian nationals spanning 8 states nationwide. Among them, 5 possessed previous criminal convictions, their crimes ranging from grand larceny to drug and firearm possessions. Also among those apprehended, Ribbar Karimi. While arresting him in northern Alabama, ICE officials say they found his Islamic Republic of Iran Army identification card and allege he served as an Iranian sniper between 2018 and 2021.
I mean, Lance, I see you're back. This is not bizarre that we should have these people in our country. Since the last 4 years, the previous president regime opened the gates, let them all in.
No, I put some this morning. She said there was Manson. Okay, I'll through that face.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, Lance. We can't. Your mic's breaking up. I don't know. Is there a storm or something going on over there? You're in a foreign country. And Mark, I'll go to you. What do you think?
Look, I'm not surprised by this at all. I would be surprised if this wasn't going on. I'm surprised we haven't seen more arrests like this. And I'm surprised, and I feel incredibly blessed that we haven't seen terrorist attacks, sleeper cells being activated, open terrorist attacks. We're not safe here in the homeland. Anybody who thinks we are is fooling themselves. We have open water supply sources. We have a power grid that's unprotected. There's cyber attacks that could be had. I think these people are all over our country. Millions of them have come in unvetted across the border, the southern border, for the last 4 years at a minimum, and really much longer than that. So I think it's incredible that ICE is acting like this. I hope that we see a lot more.
I agree. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you about a new product that's coming out. I wish we had this ready for Ed last night, but you're going to want to buy this shirt. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Evangel World Prayer Center in Louisville, Kentucky, July 3rd and 4th. Your host, Gene Bailey, is joined by Hank Kuhneman, Lorenzo Sewell, Lance Wallnow, and Ed Rush for 2 breakthrough-filled nights of bold truth and spiritual insight. Register for this free event at fprarmy.com/Kentucky, July 3rd and 4th, Louisville, Kentucky. This is your moment. It's time to accelerate to the next level of FlashPoint. The War Room is calling. Join the FlashPoint War Room, a powerful community of believers standing together in prayer, unity, and bold support. Get exclusive updates on what God is doing right now through this movement. Stand in faith, stand for truth, and stand with FlashPoint as we press into what God is doing in this season. Whether you're a pastor, intercessor, or a passionate viewer, this is your call to action. Go to fparmy.com and join the War Room today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gene Bailey. You're watching FlashPoint.
It's official. FlashPoint is now 4 nights a week. You can catch us every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. More news, more encouragement, more opportunities to stand for truth. Don't miss a moment.
What you guys do, it's immeasurable.
Make sure you go online and share this with all of your friends, your family, even people you don't know.
FlashPoint, always to the right of center.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Fort Worth, Texas on Sunday, July 27th at 6 p.m. Central. Join host Gene Bailey at the Fort Worth Convention Center for a night of bold truth and prophetic insight. Special guests include Dutch Sheets, Kylie Jean Tannehill, Hank Kuhneman, John Amanchukwu, and Mark Meckler, with special guest Kenneth Copeland. Go to fprarmy.com/Fort Worth to register and get ready to accelerate your faith with FlashPoint.
Welcome back to the second half of FlashPoint, where we all wonder if Lance's internet's going to work tonight. Just tonight, though. All right, let me show you. It has been a running theme on our show since Ed Rush joined us. It's, where is Ed's plant? Is it being watered? Is it not being watered? Well, right now on the FlashPointStore.com, there's a new T-shirt. We felt we should commemorate this. Especially since there is a scripture now of Psalm 118:17. So show the pictures, and you go, I can't see that, so let me show you here on my laptop what it says. I will live and not die, Psalm 118, verse 17, and the picture of the peace plant. So there you go. Go get your, I think this would be great if you guys could get these. Can they get them before July 4th, you think? Maybe? Okay. It'd be great if you guys could order this, get it in, and wear it to Louisville, Kentucky next week because everybody will have this. And I think we should get some of these in, and we can have everybody wear them on the stage as well for Ed. That'd be great. Okay, I'm sorry, we're having a little meeting right here. So go to the FlashPointStore.com, and you can get your copy of the I Will Live and Not Die shirt. And, of course, by the way, here we go. Other things on the FlashPoint store. Our new hats are in. Here's one that seems to be very popular with you guys. And here's our new FlashPoint hat with the logo. This is the one that Hank Kuhneman says he cannot wait to wear because of the black and the gold. So, Pastor Hank, are you going to do it? You know, Pastor Hank, I do expect. Yeah, I do. You can't see this. The FlashPoint decal. I need to see this window decal on your vehicles. I think you really need to have this. And so you can get that at the FlashPoint store. I don't know. Hank's saying something. I can't hear him, guys.
Oh, yeah, you know I am. Look, somebody sent this card to me for my birthday. I thought, isn't that great? I'm going to start bringing my dogs since I have 3 German Shepherds and, little Shih Tzu. I'll bring that. But I do want to say this about that shirt. I think that's a great thing as long as it doesn't get soiled. So
you'd have to plant
it. You know it was coming, Gene. Oh, there you go. All right, let's move this program along.
All right. So, and of course, there's always your Mama Bear stuff, stickers, shirts, all that stuff on the FlashPoint store. Help support FlashPoint and invest there as well. And you can find all of that, connections to all of that, FlashPointStore.com or FPArmy.com. we'll take you there as well. So I'm thinking, Mark Meckler, you should be wearing that T-shirt with the "I will live and not die."
I'm all in. I'll do it. I love that. I thought that was great. I thought it was best that you introduced it on a night when he's not here.
Yes.
So you'll have no idea what's going on.
Have no
I think
idea.
It's great.
You'll have no idea.
I'll wear it. I'll be there with you in Fort Worth. I'll be wearing it.
And it's even the peace plant there. Anyway, all right, so where were we? Let's pick up. We talked about the Iranian nationals coming in. This is number 10, guys. Animated Trump headed to NATO. He says, I'm heading to NATO where at worst it'll be a much calmer period than I just went through in Israel and Iran. I look forward to seeing all of my very good European friends, and there's hopefully much will be accomplished. Now, here's an interesting perspective, Mark. You just had this issue with Israel and Iran. You just sent B-2 bombers 2 different directions to take out. Now you're going to NATO. I'm thinking everybody's going to be Trump's friend when he gets there. I think everybody's going to be on America's side. What do you think?
Look, when America walks in the room, it's always the 800-pound gorilla because just the size of our country, our economy, our military, even at its worst under Barack Obama and Joe Biden. But when Trump walks into the room, this is literally going to be something like out of a Marvel superhero movie. I think he's going to be wearing the Captain America costume. At least metaphorically, the muscles are bulging. America has just flexed its military might and the president's negotiating might in a way that hasn't been seen literally in decades. I think he's restored the fear of America, the respect for America on the world stage. I think this is going to be an incredible meeting.
I believe you're right. Listen to what someone asked him. This is a rapid response. Says, do you think he'll meet with Zelensky at NATO? Here's what he said.
You think you'll meet with Zelensky when you're there?
Yeah, probably. I'll see him. Yeah.
What would you say to him?
Say, how you doing? He's in a tough situation. Should have never been there.
Oh, there's so much underlying in that. How you doing? Yeah. And then, look at this, Pastor Hank, because you like hats so much. Breaking, President Trump just arrived to the Netherlands NATO summit, and the first thing he did, look, he puts on his USA hat. There it is. Puts on his USA hat. You know, I'm just telling you, this is your president at work, Pastor Hank.
Well, first, I'm sure he'll probably see, Zelensky from Ukraine, I'm sure. But Mark Meckler, great comment. He looks like Kevin Costner in a hat. I don't wear hats, but here's what I do want to say, Gene, to your point, and that is this. Listen, something is a principle. You find it in Judges chapter 5 when the conditions that were going on at that time, you can read it, sounds a lot like the world today. And it wasn't until Judges 5, you see something in verse 2. Israel's leaders bravely led, then the people willingly followed. This is what you're seeing, a brave leader. And what it's doing is it's not only causing people to wake up and begin to follow, but even the nations. And I think that's a great, great sign. By the way, I think you should add Mark Meckler's hat to your merch and call it the, I don't know, call it the mark of something. I don't know, Gene. We'll talk about it later. But anyway, I think that'd be
Meckler, become a Meckler ranch hand. That's it.
There you go. Yeah.
Really, Mark, that kind of looks like just a set behind you. You really could. That's just your living room, right? You just.
It really does.
It's a green screen.
Seriously, this is it's a cabin. It's been rehabbed, but this cabin was built around 1860. It was an original homesteader's cabin in this part of Colorado. We're up at about 8,000 feet. It's absolutely spectacular. People say God's country. This is an example of God's country right here.
Yes, it is. God's country it is. However, we're dealing with some fallout from the last election. Here's Ben Berquam in Indianapolis. Look what he found.
Just out for a jog in Indianapolis and wondering if somebody could tell me why every Democrat-run city's Riverwalk looks like this. When did we decide filth, mental illness, and drug use was acceptable for our communities. We've abandoned our own citizens to protect foreign nationals. When did it become okay to abandon our own citizens to protect foreign invaders?
Elections have consequences, Mark. I mean, we're still dealing with what was led into our country. And this is the problem. You know, we've talked about Iranian soldiers, we got Chinese soldiers, and we don't know what's happening, but we have them. We have this issue in America, and I don't know if Americans on the left side of the political aisle, if they just want to forget that it didn't work out the way they thought, or is it just it's not really that bad, or are they going to become voters? What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, you know, I see this. I travel all over the country. I agree with what Ben said. I've known Ben for a long time, like 15 years, and he's a smart guy. He's covered stuff nobody else covers. What I see when I go to left-run cities is they all look like this. Ben is right. They are failed governance cities. And when people throw their elected officials out in these Democrat-run cities, things happen. They elect other Democrats, just like looks like they might be about to do in New York City. They're going to elect a worse Democrat. And I really think one of the things that's going on is they have lowered the expectations of people living in those cities to just believe, well, this is what it's supposed to be like if you live in a city. So their voters just accept there's going to be high crime, high taxes, high regulation, high drug use. It's going to be dangerous. That's just part of living in a city. But you can go to Republican-run cities all over the country, even some Democrat cities in very Republican states, and you won't see those problems.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. All right, I want to get to this before we run out of time. Oh, look, Lance is back. He bails out of the show, puts a T-shirt on, goes outside, and suddenly your internet's okay.
Well, you know, it was a FlashPoint Army. Someone from the Army texted me and said, Lance, go outside. I was so frustrated. I changed my clothes, and I said, all right. And evidently it works outside.
Well, okay. Well, there we go. Thank you for that. Have you heard any of the show since we lost you?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it on and off, you know, but I'm still frustrated, Gene, because I was trying to say something during the Iran segment.
Well, go ahead. I'll give you. We'll rewind. Let's talk about Iran again for a little bit. Go ahead.
I know, and I want to get to the blue cities, and I agree with what Mark says. You know, they're crazy. They're run by Democrats, and you can see a normal city is a Republican one. But I want to say there's three ways Iran is going to fall apart. It's either going to be the clerical. They're going to replace older clerical guys. Going to get replaced with a younger cleric crazy guy. Or the military is going to take over, in which case, if there's a reasonable military figure, they're going
to...
Well, there you go.
Strikes, he's out.
He's out. That's it. I can't
Three strikes, man. He's out.
That is, I mean, go back, show his picture where he froze. This is the best. There it is.
That's good. Yeah.
There you go, right there.
That's how we're all going to remember Lance Volnau.
It's live television, folks. All right, let me show you this. What I really wanted. Oh, Lance, you're back. All right, so Lance, I want to show you. Hopefully, your feet will stay with us. Because when Micah showed this to me, I'm like, oh, this will be a great thing for Lance to comment on. This is Megyn Kelly calling out Jake Tapper. This is great television, and you get to see it right here. Hopefully, Lance will stay with us. All right, watch this.
You covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. I mean, time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president. You didn't seem interested. That's true. Well, I mean, we'll start with the Laura Trump issue that you referred. Here it is. This happened in 2020.
Joe Biden, as we all know, has worked to overcome a stutter. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea
that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You have
to watch
no
somebody on stage search for
that's so
questions.
amazing.
You're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you
stuttering.
were mocking his stutter.
Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
And it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely
you,
feel
Laura
sorry
Trump.
for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure it was from a place of concern. We all believe that. Laura Trump, thank you so much.
I did ask Joe Biden to be transparent about his health records in an interview in 2020. I did ask him about the fact that voters
Then he wasn't.
thought that he was not transparent at all. No,
he promised you that he would be transparent about his health records, and then he wasn't. And when you sat with him again,
at all.
including 1 month after the Jackie Walorski thing, you didn't ask him about it. You didn't follow up on the fact that he was falling up the stairs, that he was losing his train of thought regularly, that he was slurring, that he was incomprehensible, that he was getting lost on the White House lawn. You sat right across from him and you asked none of that, notwithstanding the fact that he had promised you he would be fully transparent about his health issues. You know as well as I do that there's a way of, you can say, hey, there's this poll on your age, or you could say, you just forgot that Jackie Walorski was dead. You asked where she was moments after watching a videotape tribute to her. You lowered the flags at the White House after she died. This happened 13 days before you sat with him. There is a way of pressing a man like that on the actual infirmities to bring it home to him and to the audience, and you didn't do it. It wasn't just that. I mean, you sat with him a couple of times in the course of his presidency, and these issues were not pressed. Well, there was at least that time, and then there was the time at the beginning. And but separate and apart from that, you covered the Biden's presidency. No. Let me just finish my point. You covered the Biden presidency. Okay, right. And it was 13 days after the Jackie Walorski thing. But you covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. I mean, time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president. You didn't seem interested. Do you want to apologize to Laura Trump now?
I've already apologized to her. I called her months ago.
I feel angry because she was right. And not only did you not allow her to make her comments, but you seemed to try to humiliate her. You had a hostility toward the position, but she was totally right. And then you lectured her on how she was in no position to diagnose cognitive decline, which you guys do at length, including on page 4 of your book. You describe at length his cognitive decline, which is all she tried to do with you. But you had such a visceral reaction to her.
Joe Biden has been saying stupid things for decades. Okay,
I get what you're saying, but this minimizes it too, because it was more than saying stupid things. But I'm telling you, like over here in my ecosphere, we were covering all of these. It wasn't just falling down; it was getting lost. It was some of the stuff you report in your book. We knew, and we were reporting on, like the multi-jump cuts in the videos of him, where it was obvious he couldn't get through a 1-minute take, so they had to use those. It was clear to us that he was using teleprompter, and there was some reporting on that at the time, all of which the White House was denying. Now, with the current White House, I have some connections. With the Joe Biden White House, I had none, but you did. You did. And so while you've been in Washington 30 years, Jake, you guys, you and CNN have White House connections, but there was no effort, none to get to the bottom of this. And now for you guys to write this book like there was a cover up, it's like there was a cover up and there was an attempted cover up.
Oh, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. How would you like to be the other guy in the window going, I ain't talking. Just not going to say a word.
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, he's probably thinking, man, I hope she's not mad at me.
Yeah, really. I mean, but this is why it's so important, Lance, where you get your news. You got to watch people like us and people like you.
Well, listen, man, is it a sin to enjoy that? I love that. I love seeing Jake Tapper go out there on the media circuit like they do on the left, like, hey, man, I'm going to reveal everything that I know about what was wrong, and not be held accountable for the fact that he covered for a mentally incompetent president. And what she said was, you had plenty of opportunities to tell the truth, and you never did. Boom.
Boom is right. Now, here, Pastor Hank, here's the thing. And you guys, you do it every Sunday. You cover what's happening. There was a time in journalism where it was important to tell the truth and to get the facts right and not cover up something that the public should know. And we've come so calloused and so used to this. Your first impression is, oh yeah, well, that's just Jake Tapper. He's CNN. Of course he's going to say that. Of course he did that. That's a real sad state of media and journalism in America, Pastor Hank. What do you think?
Right. It'd be one thing, Gene, if this was ignorance, okay? I mean, it is ignorance, but in other words, their assignment has been purposeful to lie to the American people, to create these false narratives. And the Bible says if you dig a pit, you're going to fall into it. And it's no coincidence that his name is Jake Tapper, because I believe there's a Morse code that he's tapping right now, and it's saying a distress call, because I think his career is going down the toilet. And so are a lot of other ones that have been lying in the media. I think it's just a matter of time, and you're going to read about these people, and they're no longer relevant, not like they were, but their career is going down the tubes because they chose to lie rather than tell the truth.
That's right. And that would have been a great time to lose the feed. Unplug the camera. Okay.
Yeah.
Mark Meckler, your thoughts before we move on.
Look, I mean, this is actually the role of the legacy media right now, is to decide which stories to cover with a pillow until they stop breathing. I mean, that's pretty much what they do. It's not even so much the misreporting, it's the stuff that they just bury, that they never report, so that the American people who watch that kind of media only, they get a distorted picture of what's actually going on in the United States of America. It's a lot easier to not report something than it is to lie about it. And I think the not reporting is the really egregious sin.
Without a doubt. All right, well, we have a guest that decided to join us. Let's bring in the man himself, Mr. Ed Rush Pilot. Ed, so good to see you.
I'm terrified. So I'm sitting here enjoying my evening, watching FlashPoint, as everyone should do, hearing Rumble, just chatting. And next thing you know, Emily reaches out to me and says, Gene has something for you. And I have to say I'm nervous as to what's going to happen next.
Well, because of you, Ed, you have worked yourself into such a crucial position with the FlashPoint Army and with this team. We felt best to commemorate your commitment to the American way and to FlashPoint. And so by doing that, what better way than to come out with a shirt? So we have our Ed Rush Memorial T-shirt. And so here it is. Show the close-up. I will live and not die, Psalm 118:17. And a picture of a healthy plant, And everybody, the stores are getting hit pretty hard right now. Oh yeah, stores getting hit pretty hard. People are going to try and get these in before they see you in July 4th, the 3rd and 4th in Louisville next week. I just want you to know what kind of impact you're making on America.
I appreciate anytime we can wear a Bible verse around our chest, even if it's making fun of me and my precious peace lily over here. Gene, I will tell you, I'm buying at least 10 of these tonight out of the FlashPoint store. So come to Kentucky. The first 8 who come up to me and say, hey, how's the plan? I'm going to give you one of these wonderful shirts, but you should go buy your own too. That's a really wonderful gesture, Gene. I'm not even sure whether to laugh or to cry, but I'm going to probably just do both of those.
Yeah,
tonight,
okay.
So.
Hey, and I mentioned this earlier, Ed, thank you for your walking us through the attack last night and understanding the bombing and everything coming from the fighter pilot perspective. That was quite intuitive, and it's on. I know you've shared it. It's on YouTube. We want everybody to go find it, share it, and help people understand. But you were on long enough, Ed, to hear that last clip or parts of that last clip with Jake Tapper, and you saw Megyn Kelly kind of own it. This is the responsibility as we start to wind this up in 5 minutes. This is the responsibility that we have, all of us here, because every one of us is on the media of some form or another almost every day, if not every day with social media, to bring the truth to the American public. This is the importance of where we go from here. Ed, I wanted you to speak to that. We must tell the truth and be factual about what we see.
Unbelievable, Gene. Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, thanks for what you do, and certainly the Victory team does over at Victory News, who was on there earlier today. Speaking the truth in love is the most important thing. And I see like God just has been taking the mantle away from the mainstream media and giving it to wonderful independent networks like what you're doing, Gene, and some other folks. Even, for example, the latest in Iraq and Iran, the BDA, you saw a report on CNN, the DIA report on the BDA on that site. I can tell you from experience, I mean, we broke that whole attack down yesterday. It's on YouTube if you want to watch it on the FlashPoint channel. Really good 15 minutes on what happened in Iran. But I can tell you that BDA analysis, bomb damage assessment analysis from the Defense Institute, is a wild guess at best. I would say over time, it'll almost definitely be proven wrong. Nobody knows what happened to that bunker. It's underneath dirt right now. I would suggest that even the Iranians don't know what happened there. So, like you said, Gene, truth in media, I think, is one of the most important things we can have, especially over the next 3 years moving into this next election. Just honor what you guys do at FlashPoint. I think it's so important to be sharing what's true on the airwaves right now.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. All right, Lance, as we start to wrap up, I'll let you go first because we don't want to lose your feed. Go ahead.
Well, I thank you for that, Gene. And mosquitoes, I'm discovering mosquitoes are coming out as I'm paying the ultimate price to do this broadcast and getting bitten, eaten alive. I just want to say that what we want to pray for is keep praying in the Holy Ghost for the right leadership to emerge in Iran, because I believe what Cyrus Trump has done was purchased an extension of peace for the gospel to go to the Middle East. We're in the last days, folks. And what Donald Trump has done was he's extended the time for the gospel to go around the world. He's forcing the world war to stop so that the gospel can go out.
Yeah, Mark Meckler, wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that people put what's going on right now in a historical context. Literally, the entire world has just changed over the last 12 days. The entire Middle East has been reshaped, but I think this goes out far beyond the Middle East. The power balance between China and Russia and the United States all been changed. What Trump's about to do in NATO is going to be world changing. We're witnessing a changing of the times and a changing of the guard. Like, I'm 63. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime, and I expect I'll never see anything like this again.
That's a good point. All right, Pastor Hank.
Well, get your Lance Wallnau Never Wash T-shirt and your Mark Meckler Don't Mess with America hat and your Ed Rush T-shirt that will never die and Hank's dog, and send Gene your long letters because he loves you. Continue to support FlashPoint today.
You know, sometimes I just wonder. Okay, Ed, I'll let you have the last 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Oh, man, thank you for that, Gene. So first of all, we live in the greatest time in human history. Not only is God on the move, but his people are rising up. It's unbelievable to see this. I'm going to tell you 20 years from now, your grandkids and your great-grandkids are going to ask you, what was it like in 2025? We live in an amazing time to be alive. Not to mention the fact that now is your time to go buy your I Will Live and Not Die t-shirt right here on the FlashPoint store. I'm in my process of just clicking. I'm going to buy at least 10 and bring them next week. Wear your shirt next week. I'll see you in Kentucky. Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for coming on. All right, so speaking of Kentucky, Lance Wallnau, Hank Kuhneman, Lorenzo Sewell, Ed Rush, and special music on July 4th with Phil Driscoll. You want to make sure you join us. Come casual. We're going to have a good time outside. If it rains, we'll go inside. So you're covered. No worries about it. Listen, thank you to all of you who have decided to become investors in what FlashPoint is doing. The way to do that is to go to fparmy.com. You can text, you can mail in your investment, or you can go online. And I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. We're going to let Lance say goodbye to Lance so we can go inside and get out of the bugs.
Thank you.
And thank you to all you guys. Thank you, Pastor Hank. Of course, Mark Meckler and Ed Rush. Thank you for watching every week right here at FlashPoint. We've got great things we're working on. A lot of big announcements coming. Listen, you're going to be shocked, surprised, amazed, hopefully not confused, but you're going to enjoy what happens with FlashPoint coming up. Thank you for watching. We'll see you Thursday night.